I knew something was off the second she asked if we could sit down and talk. No warning, just out of nowhere on a Tuesday night, after dinner. She had that look, too casual, too forced. Her smile didn't reach her eyes, and she kept adjusting her sleeves like her skin didn't fit right. My name is Jack. I'm 37 years old. I live in Knoxville, Tennessee. Sarah sat across from me on the edge of the couch cushion, like the floor might swallow her if she leaned back. She took a deep breath and gave me this overly rehearsed line. I think it's time we have an honest conversation. That alone told me everything I needed to know. I've been through this dance before. Different partners, different versions, same energy. When someone leads with honest conversation, it usually means they've been lying for a while, and now they want permission. So, I just nodded. Okay, talk. She blinked a little too fast, like I wasn't playing my part right. Then she crossed her legs and leaned in like she was trying to come across open and strong. I've been doing a lot of thinking, and I feel like maybe we've fallen into a routine. I love you, I really do, but I think we're both missing out on experiences, and I don't want to look back in 20 years and feel like I didn't explore who I really am. There it was. I just stared at her. No reaction, not even a blink. She kept going, trying to fill the silence. What I mean is, I want to try something different, something honest and healthy. I think we should consider an open marriage. Quick note, before we go any further, share which city or country you're watching from. I gave her a long stare, just to make her uncomfortable. She didn't flinch, but her fingers were pulling at the hem of her sweater again. You want to sleep with other people, I said. She bit her lip. It's not just about that. It's about freedom, growth. Meeting new people, yes, but also... Okay, I said, cutting her off. If that's what you want, fine, I'm in. Her mouth opened, confused, maybe halfway to a smile. Wait, really? Sure, I said. Just know it works both ways. If you're going to explore, so am I. Her face fell just a bit. Not much, but enough. I stood up and walked into the kitchen, grabbing a beer from the fridge like we'd just agreed on ordering pizza. She stayed sitting on the couch, silent, stuck. She didn't say a word for a good 30 seconds, just sat there, frozen, hands in her lap, mouth slightly open like she was waiting for me to take it back. You're serious? She finally said. I took a sip of my beer and leaned against the counter. Yeah, if we're opening the marriage, it's gotta go both ways. That's what fairness looks like, right? Her eyes narrowed, but she tried to keep her voice steady. Jack, come on, that's not what this is about. It's not about replacing you or going behind your back. I'm trying to be honest. And I'm being honest too, I said. If you want to see what else is out there, so do I. Might be good for both of us. She stood up and crossed her arms, like that somehow gave her more authority. This isn't about you needing someone else. It's about me wanting to explore something I've never had the chance to. That doesn't mean I want you chasing random women just because I brought it up. I laughed. Couldn't help it. You don't get to dictate the rules, Sarah. You're not the only one with curiosity. Her confidence cracked right then. Barely. But I caught it. The shift in her posture, the twitch in her eye. I didn't mean it like that, she said, softer now. This isn't supposed to be about tit for tat. No, because it sure sounds like you expected me to just sit here while you run off finding yourself with other guys. She walked past the coffee table, pacing now. You're twisting it. No, I'm matching it, I said. You're the one who wanted to open the door. Don't get upset because I'm walking through it too. Her tone changed fast, from defensive to fake calm. It's not even about sex, Jack. You're making it sound cheap. I'm trying to grow, spiritually, emotionally. Oh, stop, I said, raising my voice just enough to cut her off. Cut the growth crap. You're not climbing a mountain. You want to hook up with someone else and feel good about it. She turned toward me, face flushed. That's not fair. No, what's not fair is you expecting me to nod along while you go test drive new men and expect me to be here smiling when you're done. She stayed quiet, just looked at me, breathing hard. I leaned forward, elbows on the counter. Be straight with me. Do you already have someone in mind? Her eyes darted away. That hesitation, half a second too long. Maybe, she muttered. There it was. Not a theory anymore, a maybe, which meant a yes. I nodded. Right, so this whole thing, the conversation, the pitch about honesty. It's just pregame. You already found someone. You're just trying to clear your conscience. That's not true, she snapped. I haven't done anything. I've felt stuck, and I needed space to think. You don't understand what that's like. I understand being lied to in stages. That's what this is. You're soft launching an affair, Sarah. She looked like she wanted to scream or cry or bolt, maybe all three. But she didn't move. I put the beer down and walked closer, slow and calm. You want freedom? Fine. But I'm done playing by your script. I'm not going to sit in some marriage purgatory while you screw around with ideas and excuses. Her lip quivered, just a little. So, you're just going to go find someone, just like that? If that's what this is now, damn right I am. She opened her mouth again, but had nothing left to say. I walked past her and headed toward the stairs. Jack, she called after me. I didn't stop, not anymore. The next morning, she was up before me, which never happened. Pancakes, bacon, fresh coffee. She even set the table like it was Sunday brunch at some country club. Good morning, she said with this too bright smile. I figured I'd make us breakfast. We haven't really sat down together in a while. I grabbed a mug and poured coffee. Right. Must have slipped my mind with all the freedom talk last night. Her smile twitched, but she kept it on like a mask. Can we just try to have a normal day? Sure, I said, sitting down. Nothing more normal than deciding to open your marriage. She didn't respond, just put a plate in front of me like she didn't hear it. The next couple days followed the same script. Suddenly, she was doting, asking how work was, if I needed anything, if I wanted to go out to dinner, just the two of us. She even wore the dress I'd told her months ago I liked. The deep green one she always said was too much for casual nights. Now it just felt like dressing up. But I saw it for what it was. She was trying to pull me back in, not out of guilt, but fear. You have any plans tonight? She asked casually on Thursday while we were folding laundry. Maybe, I said. Why? She shrugged, folding one of my shirts. Just wondering. You've been going to the gym more, that's all. And you shaved. Thought maybe you had something going on. I smiled, slow and deliberate. You keeping tabs on me now? No, she said quickly. Just making conversation. She was nervous. That part was obvious. She'd launched the missile and now realized it was headed for her, too. By Friday, she was acting clingy. Not the affectionate kind, the anxious kind. Following me from room to room, trying to start conversations. Asking me what I thought about random things we hadn't talked about in years. You remember that trip to Charleston? She said that night as we got into bed. That Airbnb with the balcony? I was thinking we could maybe go back sometime. Just the two of us. Reconnect. I turned off the light without answering. The truth was setting in for her. She wasn't in control of this thing anymore. Saturday morning, I found her scrolling through her phone in the kitchen. She jumped a little when I walked in, then tilted the screen away like she didn't want me to see. I opened the fridge. Ethan texting you already this early? Her whole body went still. I didn't even look at her, just pulled out some orange juice and shut the door. I don't know what you're talking about, she said, voice low. Didn't say you did. She followed me to the table like she was about to explain, but then just sat across from me and picked at her thumbnail. I watched her, quiet, no smirks, no accusations. Just let the silence do the work. After a minute, she said, You haven't really told me how you're feeling about all this. Don't need to, I said. You already made your move. I'm just adapting. She leaned forward. Jack, I don't want us to fall apart. I thought we could try something different. I didn't mean for it to become whatever this is. It's becoming exactly what you asked for, I said. And now you don't like how it feels. Her eyes glossed over, but I didn't flinch. She started reaching for my hand across the table, and I casually stood up, took my glass with me. The panic in her face was small, but it was there. Her plan was unraveling, and I wasn't going to stop it. I waited until Sarah left for her yoga class Sunday morning, the same one she never actually talked about before all this started. Once I heard her car back out of the driveway, I went straight to my laptop. Wasn't hard to find what I needed. I knew the signs. I've worked IT contracts long enough to know how people leave digital fingerprints all over the damn place. She'd gotten lazy, reused the same password from our Netflix account on her personal Gmail. A few minutes, a couple forgotten cookies, and I was staring at her inbox. There he was, Ethan. She saved him under a fake name in her phone, but his actual email signature gave him away. Ethan Palmer, GAF, Operations Manager, Oishar, Sandview Logistics, Sandview, her office, co-worker, bingo. I didn't even feel angry at first. It was more like watching a bad movie with predictable twists. Ethan wasn't some rich older guy or mysterious stranger. He was exactly the type, a 30-something desk guy with a shaved beard, probably thought he was being bold dating a married woman, clueless. I texted Derek, my old buddy who used to work cyber with me. Need a number for Ethan Palmer, Sandview Logistics. Quiet job. 10 minutes later, I had a phone number and an address. I stared at the screen for a second, then hit call. Hello? Hey, I said. Is this Ethan? Yeah. Who's this? I think you already know. There was a pause, dead air, heavy with realization. Jack? Bingo! Look, man, I cut him off. Relax, I'm not here to threaten you. Just wanted to have a quick chat. You free? He didn't answer right away. I could hear him breathing. Look, I didn't know she was... Save it, I said. I'm not stupid. I know exactly how this started. She told you things were complicated, didn't she? Another pause. Yeah, he said quietly. She said things weren't good between you two, that you were basically living separate lives. I nodded to myself. Right, classic play. Makes it easier to sleep with a married woman if you can pretend she's already emotionally divorced. I didn't mean for this to go like, sure you didn't, but now you're here. He exhaled, shaky. Look, I'm not trying to get involved in anything messy. I thought this was just something on the side. Oh, it's about to get messy, I said, calm as ever. But not the way you think. What do you mean? I mean, I'm not going after you, Ethan. You're not my problem. You're a symptom. He stayed quiet, probably waiting for me to snap. I'm giving her the rope, I continued, letting her hang herself with it. And you're just part of the lesson. That sounds... I don't know, man. I didn't sign up for this kind of drama. No one does, I said. But you walked in with your eyes open. So now you'll get to see what it looks like when the lights come on. Ethan mumbled something I couldn't catch, then said, So, are you telling her you know? Not yet. I let that hang for a second. She'll know when it matters. He exhaled again. Okay. So, what do you want from me? Nothing, I said. You're not worth that much effort. Just thought you should know I'm not in the dark, and that I'm not the one who's going to end up surprised. Then I hung up. Didn't wait for a response. Didn't need one. I leaned back in my chair and smiled. Let the games begin. I closed my laptop and checked the clock. Sarah would be home in 20 minutes, maybe less. I didn't need to rush, just needed to set the trap and let her walk right into it. I went upstairs, changed into jeans and a clean button-up. Nothing flashy, just enough to look like I was going somewhere that mattered. By the time she walked in with her yoga mat, I was on the couch tying my shoes. She paused in the doorway. You heading out? Yeah, I said casually. Meeting a buddy, might grab a drink, maybe meet someone. She didn't answer right away. She dropped her keys in the bowl and leaned against the wall, trying to play it cool. Oh, she said. That's new. I shrugged. You were right. Gotta take advantage of the freedom, right? Her eyes tightened just a bit, but the fake smile came on like a reflex. Sure, of course. That's what this is about. Exactly, I said, standing up. No pressure, no rules. Just seeing what's out there. She opened her mouth like she was about to say something else, but then stopped. Instead, she walked into the kitchen without another word. I grabbed my keys and headed out. Didn't have a plan. Didn't need one. I drove down to the bar near the Riverwalk, grabbed a table in the back, ordered one beer, and just sat there. Didn't talk to anyone. Didn't flirt. Just let the silence stretch out, knowing exactly what she'd be doing back home, watching the clock, pacing, wondering if I was out with someone. By the time I got home, it was close to 11. The lights were on in the living room, but the TV was off. She was sitting on the couch, hands clasped tight in her lap. I walked in, hung up my jacket, didn't say a word. She waited a few seconds, then said, So, how was it? I acted like I didn't hear her, headed into the kitchen and opened the fridge. Jack, she said, louder this time. Did you meet someone? I popped open a bottle of water and took a long drink. It was a decent night, I said. That's not an answer. I leaned against the counter, looked right at her. You didn't give me answers when you brought this up. Why should I start? She stood up now, tense. Because I'm your wife. I still deserve honesty. I tilted my head. You mean like the honesty you gave me when you were texting Ethan behind my back? That hit her hard. Her mouth opened, then shut. How do you... Doesn't matter, I said. The point is, you made the rules. I'm just playing the game you started. She took a step closer. Jack, I never wanted to lose you. I needed space. No, I said, walking past her toward the stairs. You needed attention, and now you're realizing how it feels when someone else pulls away first. I felt her eyes burning into my back as I climbed. Jack, she called, one last time. I didn't answer, didn't look back. The next morning, she was back to making breakfast again. Eggs, toast, sausage. She even threw in fresh fruit like we were hosting brunch for guests. She didn't say much, just kept glancing up at me across the table like she was waiting for a reaction. I didn't give her one. That evening, she had lasagna in the oven before I even got home. Real homemade stuff too, not the frozen kind. Garlic bread on the side, Caesar salad. She even put out the cloth napkins we hadn't touched since our anniversary. I sat down, nodded. Smells good. She smiled like she'd won a prize. I know it's your favorite. I thought we could have a nice dinner, just us. I cut into it, slow and quiet. You make this for Ethan too? Her fork clattered against her plate. Jack, seriously? I looked up. What? You wanted honesty. She dropped her eyes. I didn't make this to manipulate you. No, I said. You made it to calm yourself down. She didn't deny it. The rest of dinner was quiet, heavy. She cleaned up while I sat on the couch, scrolling through my phone. Not because I cared what was on it, but because ignoring her was starting to get under her skin. 2 days later, she started dressing differently. Long sleeves, loose jeans, no makeup, the exact opposite of the tight yoga outfits she'd been flaunting around the house a week ago. Like she suddenly remembered modesty now that the tables were turned. I came home Wednesday and found her sitting on the bed, candles lit, wearing one of those silky things she used to wear back when things were actually good between us. I didn't even stop walking, just glanced her way and headed straight for the bathroom. Jack, she said behind me. I turned, leaned on the doorframe. What? Her voice dropped. I miss you. I know I messed this up, but can't we just try again? Please? You're not doing this out of love, Sarah. You're panicking. She stood, crossed the room fast, tried to reach for my hand. No, I swear. I stepped back. Don't. She froze. You don't even want to touch me now? I don't trust what this is. 1 minute you're asking for freedom. Now you're desperate to reel me back in. I'm not stupid. Her face collapsed in confusion. You think I'm trying to manipulate you? You already did, I said. You just didn't think I'd flip the script. Tears welled in her eyes, but they didn't land. She blinked them back, maybe trying to stay composed, maybe still hoping she had leverage. But the power she thought she had was slipping fast, and she knew it. The next day she called me twice while I was at work, first just to check in, then again an hour later saying she was thinking about making a weekend trip for the two of us. I let both go to voicemail. That night, she was waiting at the kitchen table with 2 glasses of wine and some music playing low from her phone. She didn't say anything when I walked in, just looked up, hopeful. I walked past her without a word, went upstairs, and shut the door behind me. She didn't follow, not that night, but I knew it was coming. The spiral had started, and I wasn't stepping in to stop it. Friday night, she cooked again, steak this time. She'd gone all out, even used the cast iron skillet she used to hate cleaning. We sat across from each other at the table, barely touching the food. She kept looking at me like she was building up to something. I let her sit in it. I was done helping her out of her own mess. Halfway through dinner, she dropped her fork. So, who is she? I looked up. Who? Don't play dumb, she snapped. The woman you've been seeing. I'm not stupid, Jack. You've been going out. You've been acting different, distant. I took a sip of water, calm as ever. And why does that bother you? Her nostrils flared. Because I still care. You cared enough to open our marriage. Remember that? She stood up, pacing now. I didn't think you'd actually go out and find someone. I cut her off. You thought I'd just sit here and wait while you messed around with Ethan? She froze mid-step, eyes wide. I leaned back in my chair. Yeah, I know. She swallowed hard. It wasn't serious. Didn't say it was. But it was real, and you didn't have the guts to admit it until I backed off. She looked down, then back at me. We rushed into it. This whole open marriage thing. I was confused. I made a mistake. I nodded slowly. Now that you think I've moved on, suddenly it's a mistake? No, she said, voice cracking. It was a bad idea from the start. We weren't in the right place. I stood up. You were in the exact place you wanted to be. You just didn't think I'd match your energy. She crossed her arms, defensive again. I didn't want to lose you. You lost me the second you asked for permission to cheat under a nicer label. Her eyes welled up, but I didn't flinch. She stepped forward. Jack, can we just talk about this? Really talk? I'm scared we can't fix it. I tilted my head. Fix what, Sarah? The rules you made and then broke. Or the fact that the game stopped being fun when I started playing too. She dropped into the chair across from me, hands shaking. I don't know what I'm doing anymore. I feel like everything's slipping. It is, I said. And you started it. She opened her mouth, but nothing came out. She knew I wasn't bluffing. You told Ethan it was complicated, I asked. That we were distant, that you felt alone. She stared at me, lips parted. That's how it starts, right? I said. Play the victim, soften the blow. Make it easier for someone else to justify being with you. I didn't mean to. You meant every bit of it, I said, voice sharp now. You just didn't expect consequences. She sat there in silence, staring at the table. I grabbed my plate, walked into the kitchen, and dumped what was left in the trash. You wanted honesty? I said over my shoulder. You're about to get it. I came back from the kitchen with a manila envelope in my hand. Thick, sealed, heavy in more ways than one. Sarah glanced at it, then at me. What's that? I dropped it on the table in front of her. Open it. She hesitated. Jack, what is this? Go on, I said. You wanted honesty. Here it is. She peeled it open with shaking fingers and slid out the stack of papers. Her eyes scanned the first page, then the second. Her face went pale. Phone logs, text message screenshots, email printouts. Hotel confirmation from a downtown Marriott. Date stamped 2 weeks before she'd even mentioned feeling stuck. I watched her read. I didn't say a word. She flipped another page and covered her mouth with one hand. How long have you had all this? Long enough, I said. Long enough to let you dig your own grave. Tears spilled over, but I didn't care anymore. She wasn't crying out of guilt. She was crying because she got caught. Because her fantasy of control just hit a brick wall. You went through my stuff? She choked. No, I said. You left it wide open. You were sloppy, Sarah. You thought you had me wrapped up so tight I wouldn't look. That was your mistake. She shook her head, still flipping through the pages like she was hoping one of them would magically prove her innocent. This was never about love, was it? I said. It was about attention, about feeding your ego. You wanted to see if someone else still wanted you. And you used our marriage as the test site. I didn't mean to fall into anything, she started. You didn't fall, I cut in. You jumped, head first, booked hotel rooms, lied to my face, and then had the nerve to talk about growing together while you were screwing someone else. She pushed the papers away and looked up at me, desperate. Jack, please, don't do this. We can go to therapy. I'll cut it off. I'll do whatever it takes. I pulled out a second envelope from my jacket, thinner this time. Legal paper, clean, final. Then start here, I said, sliding it across. Separation agreement. I already had it drawn up. All you have to do is sign. She stared at it like it was a death sentence. I don't want to lose you, she whispered. You already did. Jack, she begged, we've been through so much. This doesn't have to end like this. I sat down across from her, calm as ever. I'm not angry anymore, Sarah. I'm just done. You made your choices. Now you live with them. She reached for my hand across the table. I pulled it back. No more games, I said. Either sign it and walk away clean, or drag this out and make it worse for yourself. But we're not going back. Not after this. She broke then, full sobbing, shaking, collapsing into her own mess. I stood up, grabbed my keys, and walked toward the door. I'll give you until tomorrow, I said, without turning around. After that, it goes to court. And then I left her sitting there, surrounded by the wreckage she built all on her own. I came back the next morning, walked straight into the kitchen where she was sitting, still in the same clothes, eyes red, papers scattered around her like debris from a wreck. I dropped the signed documents on the table. All it needs now is yours. She didn't move, just looked up at me like she was seeing a stranger. Jack, please, don't do this. I'm not doing anything, I said. You already did. Her voice cracked. I didn't mean for it to go this far. It always goes this far, I said. That's what happens when people stop respecting the person they promised to love. She grabbed the paper, held it like it burned. We can fix this. I'll do anything. Therapy, counseling, I'll quit my job, cut contact with Ethan. Just tell me what to do. I shook my head. You don't get to bargain now. You made your moves. This is the fallout. She stood suddenly, tried to reach for me. Jack, I was stupid. I know that. But you can't just walk away from years together like none of it mattered. I looked her dead in the eye. You treated me like a placeholder, like I was plan A while you test drove plan B. You don't get to cry now because I stepped off your stage. She crumpled back into the chair, sobbing again, hands over her face. The same hands that once held mine when we bought this house, when we said vows, when we built a life I thought was real. You were everything to me, she whispered. No, I said. I was convenient, until I stopped letting you run the script. I picked up the pen and slid it across the table. Sign it, Sarah. She looked up through tears, lips trembling. You don't love me anymore? I paused, let her sit in the silence. I love myself more now. I walked to the door without waiting for another word. This time, I didn't look back. Not once. She called my name as I reached for the handle, but I kept going. Out the door, down the steps, into the car. As I pulled away, it hit me. I wasn't angry anymore. I wasn't even sad. I was free. She had her chance. She gambled everything. And she lost.